week 2, we discussed how Angular was composed of components, services, and models. Up to this point, we've primarily focused on components. This week, we'll cover services, primarily in the context of accessing resources such as storage or over the network, but a service can be used and should be used for any code that does not exist just for a single page. It is common for apps to access data by communicating with web servers. The web server will provide a web API, which generally consists of routes, which takes parameters and returns results, similar to what we've already seen and used in Angular. When we access the web API, we need to specify the URL, the parameters, and decode the resulting data, which may be in a JSON format. For example, we may have a web API which returns a list of books, which is used on multiple pages. Hence, we would need to re-implement the code on each of those multiple pages. The following code example uses fetch to access a web API. An async function getBooks fetches a result from a server based on a search term. If successful, a list of books is returned, else null is returned. In this example, we would need to write the same getBooks function in every component that wants to get the books. Duplicating code is almost always a very bad idea. We should have one instance of the getBooks function, which can be called by all components. A service is generally designed to be used as a singleton. That is, the service class only has one instance. Angular doesn't enforce this behavior of services. However, it is common to use singleton services. Singleton services are classes where an instance is created once at the start of the application, and there is only ever one instance or object of the service class for the life of the application. All other components and services utilize the one instance of the service. Like components, services are associated with modules. However, they don't need to be declared specifically in the module. If you are creating a service which is to be used app-wide, i.e. a singleton service, then the source code file for the service can be in the app directory. The command line for creating a service is to use the Ionic generate service and then the name of the service. So this will end up creating a file in the root level, main level of our app directory called book.service.ts file, and it will define a class called bookService class. The default code generated for a service uses an injectable decorator. The provided in property of the decorator is important as it indicates which module the service is declared within. By default, the value is root, which indicates that the service is available throughout the entire application and provided by the app module. A service is a normal class. You can add functions and properties. For example, we can add a getBooks function from our earlier example of getting books. To use a service, we inject it into the component which is using it. We do this by importing the service class and injecting the class via the constructor. We can now use the service in the book component, just like we have used other services of routers, modal controller, storage, etc. Any common code used throughout the application should be stored in a service. Code for reading and writing to storage and communicating with web APIs commonly goes into a service. You should have different services for different responsibilities. For example, you should have one service handling storage and another service for communicating with web APIs.